Our future has to be saved by technology. This is the only way to save the issues.
It's a way to change our way to see things, to change our conception of the world, to change our prejudices. We all have prejudices that involve our roots, the fact that we are born here and not elsewhere.
And the purpose of education is about self-development. It's about improving your cognitive capacity to be able to understand the environment around you, and for you to be able to play a bigger and more extensive role, more satisfactory role, and a more satisfying role in your community. And you don't ever achieve that by getting somebody else to do the work.
Ben Gurir is a place which is becoming more and more friendly. It's really important to measure the progress that we've been through since the university has opened. Science Week is one of the tools we've been using to make this place even more important and more interesting.
Science Week, I started Science Week in 2019 because when I came here to be a professor, I realized something that, well, two things actually, that there are a lot of departments and brilliant professors and researchers, but they seem to be working in the silo. Everyone is an island in a sense. And then I thought it would be a good idea to have at least 1 week in the year when people get out of their private treasure island and share with everyone else what they are doing.
I've been with the Science Week since day one, so this is going to be my 5th edition, and it's really a great event and great experience in sharing the knowledge and spread it on a large scale.
One also of the aim of the Science Week is to show that science is not something like rationally neutral, like just neutral. It is, I mean, a great scientist is a man of desire, the desire of knowledge.
Humans have evolved specific dedicated abilities for establishing common ground through conversation. It's something we're really, really good at. We've evolved to be really good at finding out what we think about ideas and introducing new ideas to one another and establishing some kind of an agreement on how we move forward. So, but for that to happen, you have to get everybody to talk to each other. So Science Week is crucially important for that kind of thing.
So what we do, the idea is to have 1 week every year whereby all the departments, all the professors, all the researchers can explain what they do, and they have to prove that they are at the frontiers of science, that they are the best and doing the best research. And one of the ways to do that is to confront them with international researchers, experts, the best in the world.
The 5th version is, in fact, every year we say we have to improve, and every year at the end of the Science Week, alhamdulillah, so far, we think that we've been doing better than the previous year. So now I think Science Week is becoming mature. It's the 5th edition. We made a lot of mistakes. We will certainly make some other mistakes, but less and less mistakes and more expertise and professionalism.
But remember, people make mistakes all the time. One might even define the human condition as one in which we cope and we go from one mistake to the next mistake, hopefully learning from mistake to mistake and improving.
That's the same thing for Science Week. Science Week wants that to be incremental. We have learned a lot about complexity. We have learned a lot about transitions. We have learned about... So every time we have a theme, we learn things about it and we construct something above it. Next year, we are going to have convergence as a theme, but convergence now we have some ideas about complexity, for instance, about transition, and we will play with the connections between the 2026 theme, convergence, and the themes of previous years. That's the way for us to mimic science by also having some increment every science week, every year, add something to a kind of stock of global knowledge that we have here at UM6P and that we try to disseminate among researchers and among students.
You know, in Latin, we talk about libido, like libido means desire, libido sciendi, the desire for science. And it's really, it has to be taken directly for what it is. It's a real desire, like when you desire the future, when you desire to go to the cinema, when you desire to play. But that's the same. I mean, a scientist, at the end of the day, it's his desire. And so we want to implant the root of this desire in not only in scientists, because the scientists, they already have it. That's the reason why they became great scientists, but in the students, because we want the students to become great scientists, to become involved in technology. So we need to implant this desire.
That is fantastic. Many of the places that I've worked are very siloed, very individual. People, don't have the time, the energy to discuss matters across disciplines, but that of course is the future. That's the only way we're going to address the problems, is to cross-pollinate. So it's exciting to see it happening here in real time.
UM6P is a university based on research. Most universities in the world are based on education, so they take people from first year. But this, from the onset, the idea was to do research and to be at the frontiers of research. You cannot have a university based on research if you are doing research like of 20 or 30 years ago. You have to be at the top every moment, and you have to have the best researchers. That's very important.
You have to invest in education. That's the best investments you can imagine. And this is why I'm so proud about this place. To be very honest, the fact that there is an organization, a company, a country that decided now we want now to invest in a campus. We want to invest in education. We want to train the best of the best. That's admirable, and that will shape the future.
We need, to not let the future happen out of our hands, but we need to do something willingly. And it's what is about shaping the future. Because in the idea of shaping the future, there is the idea that we are not living nature, environments. We are not even living our instincts like animals, shaping the future for us. We are going to be really human, so we are going to shape it. We are going to give a shape. We are drawing it.
I've been an educator for many years. I've seen the students, arrive every year. They're always the same age. They come up with new skills. They have new tools that they're extremely competent with, things that they master much better than I ever have mastered, because they're the tools that they grew up with. And of course, what we bring is experience and insight. So this continuum, I think, is very important. Education has evolved that way for centuries. Right? It's a very conservative way of ensuring that knowledge is transferred from one generation to the next. And the older generation has a historical perspective, and the newer generation has the latest tools at their fingertips.
And I think that's true of university education in general, is that we're obliged as educators to encourage curiosity, encourage the asking of questions, to be critical of the answers that we get, to be able to understand what the implications of those answers are, and to be able to put to use the answers that we actually manage to learn or achieve, whichever way you want to look at it. So nothing of this is simple.
So this year, in fact, since day one, the idea was to give the commons to the schools within the UM6P and to be just like the logistics hand of Science Week. And we're getting there. This year, last year, we had a lot of departments playing the game with our rules. We had a lot of people invited by the departments, and this year is a little bit more entrenched in their day-to-day life.
Like the participants in Science Week aren't just here to be told what the current state of knowledge is by the visiting scientists. On the contrary, the visiting scientists often don't know what the right answer to the question they're dealing with is. They're trying to figure it out. And most of the most lively and interesting issues in science are questions we don't know the answer to. So I would say the participants in Science Week, to a very real sense, are often going to introduce ideas to the visiting scientists that they hadn't thought of. And because of the conversations that will happen over the course of Science Week, they might actually be inventing knowledge, not just consuming knowledge.
We've never needed professors more than we do now, because now professors is not about content, about knowledge, because knowledge is there. You have just to Google something, and Wikipedia, you have the whole knowledge of the world is there. You can just click, but there is too much. So now the role of the professor is to guide the students towards the best way of actually accessing real knowledge. That's the role of the professors that have changed, you know, and now it's more needed than ever.
You have to change your mindset from I can't do to I can do. And that's probably the most difficult thing, frankly. You need to train a muscle in your brain, to almost like you go to a gym, you work out your muscles, they get bigger, you get stronger, and it becomes easier over time. Unfortunately, we're not taught to do that with our brains. We are taught, since we are born with very flexible brains, we're very creative as children. Around the age of 7, when we start going to school and friends and society, we start being put into a box, and our creativity and our thinking starts to diminish, really. And my hope is that, you know, helping people switching their mindset to a disruptive mindset, that I can actually go against the grain, I can go against the mainstream, try new things, try things that people tell you are stupid, that will never work, that are impossible, improbable, all of these words.
I think as engineer and scientist, it's important to focus, to be optimistic, and to focus on the opportunities that are ahead. And I think they're available to everyone, in particular the students here that are following the curriculum. You have a network, you have a set of resources, you have a set of connections. And I think it's this notion that you can do it in the same way that anybody else can, because you have the resources at your disposal.
That's also one of the things we do at Science Week, by the way, by showing for every discipline, every department, by showing to the students the challenges of today, the research, actual research, the interesting people in the field, and have them ask questions. We guide them towards real science and away from blah blah and pseudoscience.
And then also learn to really work hard. And working hard is something that we're also starting to lose over time. Generations back in the day, it was normal for people to work hard, many decades. Nowadays, unfortunately, with the social media and everyone is kind of like used to very quick wins and adrenaline hits, and success and innovation very rarely happens that quickly. So it's really reprogramming the mind, frankly, to become successful. And you see, there's no company that is built in one day. It's typically years and decades before it's actually taking a position as a leader in any space.
When I came to this university to become professor of history and philosophy of science, I thought we have to show that this is indeed a university based on science, and that we are on the top of it.
Science Week has been very eye-opening for me. The first talks on sustainability of food production, I've seen talks on hydrogen use, I've seen talks on so many topics that I wouldn't normally be exposed to. And one other thing I really love about the campus is how all of the different departments are physically connected with a bridge. There's a bridge between all of them, so people can actually travel between and have a cross-disciplinary.
No, I think that that kind of event, by putting together researchers from different areas, different countries, different fields, is definitely what we need.
The 5th edition this year, 2025, was a great success, and I hope that in the next years, 26, 27, probably I'll be in charge, somebody will be in charge, doesn't matter. The only thing I want, because Science Week is very dear to my heart, is that anyone in charge of Science Week should be real scientists, people who know, understand and believe in science.
The event itself is becoming known outside of our community, which is, I think, something that we should think first. The UM6P, the president and the president's office, and all this team that's being dedicated to Science Week, and to the students, because our goal is to give these students this opportunity to meet with the greatest scientists and thinkers coming from all around the world. And the idea is just to put Ben Guerir on the worldwide map of science production.
One key message is to value your education. The chance you have to be in this place shouldn't be underestimated, because it's a lot of commitment from a lot of people to give you this opportunity, to give you this chance. So just embrace it, be successful. That's probably the key message. And then, benefit from this multi-cultural, multi-sector approach to improve your creativity, your openness to the world.